Hello everybody and welcome to the Tyde Guide. This is the new series to my channel that'll be a collection of short guides that will cover all sorts of small topics to help improve your game. I just thought this would be a better idea than coming up with a whole bunch of very big videos that don't cover enough information of a specific topic, and I can get these out a lot faster than I can one that requires weeks of research and doing it all by myself. So hopefully by the end of this video we're able to take everything I teach you guys and just kind of compile it together through smaller videos. So let's go ahead and begin with this guide. And today's topic is why Hastened Fatalis. So I've gotten a lot of comments on this item. Why do I like it so much? Why do I use it all the time? Why did I replace boots? Maybe I do better without it and get boots instead. And honestly, I can't agree that this item is bad or that boots are even better. So I guess let's just begin by understanding exactly what is Hasten Fatalis and what does it provide. So in case you're too lazy to check out what Hasten Fatalis really gives you, Hasten Fatalis provides 30% attack speed, 10% movement speed, and the passive is when a basic attack hits a target, the attacking movement speed debuff is removed from you for 1 second. And that debuff is actually 50% of your movement speed for a ranged character, 35% for a melee character. 30% attack speed alone makes this item pretty worthwhile since there's not too many items in Season 2 that give a good 30% attack speed, especially since kin size got reduced down to 15%. And then it also provides movement speed, which only 5 items for physical gods can do, and I think it's only 3 or 2 items that magical gods get. So Hasten Fatalis is one of those lucky items that provides at least a decent amount of movement speed. And then finally tacking on its passive, which is damn worthwhile when fighting an opponent, especially since they can't hit you if you've got the abilities to juke them without that movement penalty. And especially as hunters, it's really vital that you dodge their attacks and land your attacks, and when you're able to continuously move without a speed penalty, usually you're able to dodge their attacks while they're trying to fiddle around and hit you, and most of the time you'll come out on top. It's really important to know that Hasten Fatalis works well for you as long as you have the skills to dodge and land your own attacks. If you're unable to dodge basic attacks even with a Hasten Fatalis and you're not landing your own, the item itself falls pretty short, and that's sad to say. It's kind of an item that has a utility effect over stat effect. And what I mean by this is its stats don't compare very well to crits, damage, and, an executioner. However, the utility of being able to move is kind of something you can't measure. Because I could consider it defense, as I don't take damage because I'm able to dodge because of Hasten Fatalis. But realistically, if I get hit, it really doesn't stop the damage. So you guys have to understand that Hasten Fatalis provides a utility that you can't measure by stats, but with the right skills you can turn a fight completely. And there are some who will even say, well, you could just use Sprint Tier 3 instead of Hasten Fatalis. And the funny thing about Sprint Tier 3 is that you really can't. You cannot keep Sprint around at all times, and it only lasts for 6 seconds and goes on a 60-second cooldown. Sprint is also one of those very important actives that is usually used to escape or chase an opponent. It is a very vital tool to stop slows, to catch opponents who have dashed out, who are trying to get away, and to simply spend it on a small skirmish between you and your opponent would put you in a dangerous situation that could possibly lead to your defeat. Then when you have your Hasten Fatalis in hand, you can constantly fight your opponent without wasting your sprint. And then when your opponent tries to flee, then you can sprint after them. Or if they've got slows, you can sprint out of the slows. So combining Hasten Fatalis and Sprint is actually a good idea instead of just trying to get Sprint to cover the effects of Hasten Fatalis. And then don't forget that Hasten Fatalis still provides that 30% attack speed and 10% movement speed, which, by the way, if you have Sprint 3 and 10% movement speed, they kind of go hand in hand. You just run a little faster. Now, some people have seen my Hunter build as of Season 2 in the newer Master Series, and a lot of people have asked, why did I drop boots? Why don't I get boots? And I could do better with boots. And, honestly, boots only provide 8% more movement speed than Hasten Fatalis. And when you compare the utility of Hasten Fatalis, which prevents the 50% movement speed penalty for ranged characters, it's kind of not worth it when you have to go one-on-one against another ranged god. I mean, of course, if that god has slows for days and is using a Frostbound Hammer right off the start, Hasten Fatalis isn't going to get you out of it, but you can definitely maneuver away from another ranged god, or just keep yourself at a distance until you yourself get a Frostbound Hammer or sprint. But it is so much better to avoid that 50% penalty for basic attacking than it is just to have 8% more movement speed. So as far as my hunter build is concerned, another reason I go Hasten Fatalis instead of boots is that I get double the attack speed that boots provides. So I don't have to buy boots, then get an attack speed item, then get a crit item. Instead, right after Hasten Fatalis, I can go straight into rage, which allows me to have extreme power once rage is complete, and I've already got a good amount of attack speed. Then on top of that, my build consists of Frostbound Hammer, which can come right after rage. So I can slow my opponent when they have boots, then they're 50% penalty while they're basic attacking, they get a 33% penalty from my Frost Hammer, and then the Frostbound Hammer also applies an attack speed debuff. It's just a brutal combo that keeps me ahead of the game. Now of course you just have to remember that this combo isn't unstoppable. Any opponent who builds Frostbound Hammer and Hasten Fatalis kind of puts you in a pickle if they keep hitting you and you aren't landing your shots, or if they get sprint, they completely break out of the slow and have more movement speed. But of course, if you have sprint, vice versa, you can kind of keep it even. But that's in those case scenarios that happens. But just remember that when sprint is down, you have the advantage, which you should for about 54 seconds. So let's just go ahead and wrap all this information up in a quick summary. So today we learned that the Hasten Fatalis is a high attack speed item that provides a decent amount of movement speed, but has one of the most amazing passives that I love dearly, that gives you the best mobility advantage next to sprint. We've also learned that the answer to sprint tier 3 is that it does not provide you the ability to start small skirmishes with your opponent without sacrificing that escape or the chase active. And then in a one-on-one joust, replacing your boots with this items allows you to rush your crits, so you can start with a higher source of damage. And just as a few additional final notes for you guys, it's important to remember that non-hunter gods can also use the Hasten Fatalis, even though I spoke mostly of hunters as an example. Freya is one of the mage gods that uses this item constantly, and for any Freya who doesn't build it is really missing out on a lot of attack speed and potential damage from Freya. Just remember not to build it on gods like Kronos, who already have a Hasten Fatalis effect in their skills, and because it wastes their slots for damage, even though they get attack speed. Osiris, however, even though his passive has something similar to Hasten Fatalis, it only lasts for 6 basic attacks, and it's really situational that you break all your armor pieces off in order to get that. So Hasten will continue to provide him with more movement speed and have that constant effect of Hasten Fatalis even when his passive is not available. And it doesn't make his passive useless, as his passive has additional effects to it. Hasten goes great on assassins such as Boxura, Kali, Mercury, as they can all use the benefit of high attack speed movement and the passive ability to chase your opponents down. Now I know a lot of questions will probably be like the time you should pick up Hasten Fatalis, and honestly this is all based on how your build is and how it works. If you are not getting boots, Hasten Fatalis needs to at least be the second item of your build. However, if you are getting boots and you're going to combine Hasten Fatalis in it, I would suggest that you experiment, take it to jungle practice, and figure out where Hasten Fatalis fits best for you. So just give it a little practice. If you don't like the Hasten Fatalis, it might not be for you, but understand that it is not a bad item, and everybody should at least give it a try. Thank you everybody for watching. If you felt I left any information out in this video, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll be more than happy to cover more on this subject at a later time. If you guys have any suggestions as to what the next topic should be, let me know. Give me some ideas as to where you guys want some help, and I'll be more than happy to cover the topic. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, good game.